I have a tape of Kevin Costner drinking his actual pee.
Okay. Wow.
Hi there, and welcome to Hav and Charles Talk Comics Season 2, Episode 14, the penultimate episode of this season. I just informed Mr. Gonzalez, my good friend and co-host, that we only have one episode left, and I got all excited because last year on our second to last episode, he called it the penultimate episode, and I was very irritated. Been irritated for an entire year that he got to say that and I didn't. Because, I mean, how often do you really get to say that word?
You don't. And hey, Charles, how's it going?
It's going all right.
Good.
I would like to give an apology to our listeners. If y'all notice, this podcast is 2 weeks late, and it is 2 weeks late because Hav, through no fault of his own or even giving it to me, I got COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. It's my fault. I didn't give it to you, but somehow the COVID is my fault.
No,
yeah,
no.
that sucked for you.
No. I said no fault of yours. I just wanted to include you in the story.
Oh, thanks. Okay.
I mean, the week before we did talk that you, me, Julie, none of us had COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, we had hung out like about a week before you got it, or like day 5, I forget. You'd come over for the Cowboys game.
Yeah, it was the Sunday before.
Yeah, and then sometime
that I tested positive a week later. Yeah, I got it from my parents. So that was fun. I don't know if any of y'all out there listening have heard of this COVID thing, but it was, I did not enjoy it. I didn't. The hype is overrated. It is not a fun time. Today we are going to talk about two comics, as we do every single episode, because that is the format of the show. I suggest a comic and Hav suggests a comics, and then we read those suggestions that the two of us give each other, and then we talk about it. And
correct.
And generally, the Hav will suggest something older than the comics I suggested. And this time he did too, because he suggested the original run of Star Wars, which is awesome because we both love Star Wars in a creepy way. And I suggested something that canonically is actually older, but come out much more recently, because I suggested Batman Zero Year. So, I mean, technically, Batman Zero Year would have happened before Star Wars came out in the 40s, but still.
I didn't think of it that way.
I know. My brain works nerdy sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's true. I had been thinking about wanting to lean more into some sci-fi stuff, and we had just done Strange Adventures, the Adam Strange thing, very sci-fi-y, comic book, superhero-y, and this is just, and I was like, I've been thinking about it for a while. Let's just go do some Star Wars, and lo and behold, we did it.
We did.
So, yay. And
yes, yay indeed.
So, I did read the first, 6 issues, which is the first 6 issues, which is the original Star Wars. For us, Star Wars now is kind of known as A New Hope, which was kind of interesting for a couple reasons. But then we went on, or at least I did. I don't know if you got through all of it. I went through issue, I want to say 15, because that's where the arc kind of ended, where Han is battling it out with some other mercenary pirate guy.
Well, yeah, when they do the entire Seven Samurai. I was going to say Magnificent Seven, but they do the Seven Samurai. Only they have 8 people.
Right. Well, they do the Seven Samurai, and then I went a little further. Well, I think I did it a little further. Anyways, we'll talk about it. So,
okay.
Let me just start out as we usually. Well, I'm just going to ask, and I usually do. What'd you think?
I liked it. I mean, it's Star Wars. I mean, I'm going to forgive everything. It's Star Wars.
Okay.
I mean, it's a comic of its time. It's not canon. I mean, it's not canon, but I mean, it's got a giant bunny. It's got Don Juan Quixote in it.
Oh my God, that's right. Jesus, I forgot about that. Gosh, I wish I would have taken. I didn't take notes.
So here's the thing: they go through the original Star Wars, the first, A New Hope, and it was pretty good, and there was some stuff going on. And then, just as a backstory, George Lucas is a comic book fan. clearly, because he had met the writer, who is the writer of this Star
I knew
Wars.
you were going to ask me that. Well, shoot, Roy Thomas
Ro-
adapted the original.
yes,
And then did he keep on writing it? Maybe.
he knew Roy
Yeah.
Thomas. He had met him, and he came to him and wanted to do it. And Roy Thomas really kind of lobbied for it to be more than like one comic, because sometimes when they would do a movie adaptation, they would do one comic, and he got it to that 6 comics, because they were like, oh, we'll do 1 to 12. So it was a back and forth, and he got 6 comics out of it. And a lot of it was really good. And there's a couple of things in there we'll talk about that I thought were better than the movie. Actually, there's one thing that's better than the movie.
Okay.
And it's...
Well, go. Let's,
you want me to just say
tease
it?
me?
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the very end, when they're getting their medals,
Yeah.
I'm gonna literally pull it up, because this is that she gives it to Han, she gives it to Luke, and then in the panel it says, and Chewbacca will get his medal, but he'll have to put it on himself because he's too tall for any princess to put the medal over his head. So even they knew Chewbacca deserved a fucking medal. Come on, George.
Right. Well, and I want to know, I mean, tell me what you think. I'm pretty sure maybe Conway, right? That's who we just, I got short-term memory. Isn't that who we just said was a writer? Holy crap.
Yes,
Not Conway, Roy Thomas.
Tim Conway. Tim Conway wrote
I
the
swear
comic.
there's a comic book guy that's named Conway. Roy Thomas. Do you think Roy Thomas saw the movie and was like, well, that was shitty. They just let the Wookiee stand there like holding his dick in his hand.
No, the way he got that, because I don't know where I read it, but I read some stuff about this. They wrote this off the shooting script.
Okay.
Or a shooting script. It wasn't necessarily, maybe it wasn't the final shooting script, and things do change from the shooting script in editing, and things change. So maybe George Lucas always intended, but the way it kind of cut together, Chewbacca didn't get one. It was just one of those things where people have always said, well, why didn't Chewbacca get a medal?
Right.
So.
Well, I kind of agree with them. I mean,
Yeah.
I was like, hey, because I don't remember the first time I noticed that. And of course, it was many years later when I was, I'm
Older.
sure, firmly an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because let me just say this about Star Wars, back up a little bit. Look, I remember getting when this came out on VHS, the original trilogy, I got it like the first week. And then in college,
Nerd.
to date myself, 92 to 97, I had a victory lap there. Look, for sure, by the time we were at the end in apartments, that was something, Star Wars, Empire, usually not Return of the Jedi. You pop it in at the end of the night and just fall asleep to it, after a night of going out or just, hey, nothing's on, pop in Star Wars. I can't even begin to guess how many times I've seen these movies, I should say, probably, really. So anyway, so there's that. But the whole thing about the whatever award, the medal, I didn't notice until a lot later. But then it really bugged me once it was pointed out to me. So anyways, that was cool that they kind of gave a fix for that in the comic book, even though it wasn't clear in the movie. The one thing I noticed, the whole thing about, what was his friend's name, Charles? Was it Wedge, or which is what friend's name that leaves to work for the Biggs?
Yes.
Well, and I know from I've done some reading and watching some documentary stuff. Apparently, in one of the versions of the script, or maybe I think some of it was shot, there was a lot more of Luke interacting with Biggs before he left, or when he came back from leaving, and he's actually on the Empire, and at the end you see him, and they kind of make a big deal of it in A New Hope, because it's him and Biggs seeing each other. It's like, hey, Luke, you made it. And there's not a lot of context for that in the final version of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're best friends. I mean, there was a scene, and they had some rough shots. They shot the scenes where he and Biggs are on Tatooine, because Biggs has come back, and Biggs is telling him, and this was in the comic, that he knew about how to get to join the rebellion, and they were going to jump ship. After they've left the academy, he was working on another ship, and he was going to jump ship and join the rebellion. So when they come there, and they even did the whole thing on because people have also said, well, why did they let this kid jump into an X-Wing and go fight They'd never seen him. They'd never seen him fly. That's because Biggs told him he's a good pilot. I know him. He's a good pilot. Let him fly. So
Right.
that's even a reason why he did that. So it's the difference between sometimes a book or a versus a movie where things get left on the cutting room floor that might even still be important. They try to trim stuff that's not important, that doesn't push the plot, but some things also get trimmed that do if it's not as important.
Gotcha.
And
No, I gotcha. No, that makes sense.
and adding something that wasn't in the original movie that they also shot was Jabba the Hutt and Han Solo meeting in Star Wars.
Right.
And they did that, and it was a completely different, and it was an alien, because they shot it with just a big fat guy in the thing, and that's why, and he walked around behind him once, and that's why he does that dumb thing where he steps on his tail, and the remastered when they actually put Jabba in, because it's the only way they can figure out how to do that. And this is just, I mean, it's just an alien. It's not even a particularly scary looking alien. So there were some interesting things. Oh, there was the also screenshot I took when Lieutenant Porkins dies.
Oh, yeah.
But Biggs has fought beside Lieutenant Tano Porkins for long weeks and months, and he knows suddenly what it means to lose a friend. And in this thought bubble, he thinks, "So long, piggy."
Yeah. Yeah.
You talk about... what do you think the odds are of them naming somebody Lieutenant Porkins nowadays and putting a fat actor in it?
I thought there was somebody that was Porkins, like a relative in one of the more recent ones. I swear to God.
Is he a relative? I do know that the guy that was in Heroes that played the mind reader, is in it. I didn't know. Is he a Porkins?
I swear I remember hearing it or hearing it in the movie
or
that he was Porkins or something.
Or did when they do that, everybody was just like, oh yeah, he's Porkins.
Maybe.
Or maybe they're trying to rehabilitate it, but still, come on. Okay,
come on.
I'm sorry. In a whole new thing. Not as an homage to the fat shaming of yesteryear.
Yeah. No, maybe, I don't know. I do remember that. One of the parts, from the original, 6 issues that was, Star Wars A New Hope, the visual of Obi-Wan dying. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that panel where he's just exploding into a million little pieces?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool compared to, the robe just disappearing.
Yeah.
Which of course the robe disappearing they can do in 77.
Yes.
What they did in the comic book they couldn't do.
No, not easily. Not without literally exploding Alec Guinness.
Well, and you know what? He's such a craftsman and dedicated to acting. I'm surprised he didn't just say, you know what? I've had a good run. I'll die right here. Let me just record everything you need for the next however many decades. But I'll die on the set.
Actually, he wanted to die so he wasn't going to be in the other movies.
Right.
And then hold on. And then George Lucas's wife at the time, she had the idea to have him come back as a ghost and talk to Luke.
I didn't know that. Yeah. Okay, see?
Well, a lot of people, evidently she was really instrumental in a lot of the Star Wars stuff.
I believe it. No, I did see something on one of the, was it Vice Icons, Star Wars, and also the editing, right? Didn't she?
Yes.
Did she edit it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think she was an editor. I don't know that. These are just all of this stuff. This is, I've read so much about. I actually have tried not to read tons and tons of stuff, but I've been so enmeshed in Star Wars for so long of my life that I know just random crap.
Yeah. Well, okay, speaking of random crap, the story I always heard about Sir Alec Guinness, very respected actor, on par with Laurence Olivier and, that kind of old school. It was, as you know, and probably many, if not all of our listeners know, very big deal for them to score him for the movie. He was the big name to get. And the deal he got is that I've heard many times, and then there's a funny story about it, is that he, got paid something, probably more than everybody else, but it wasn't a big salary, but he got a back-end deal.
That makes sense.
I don't know if it was just Star Wars or all 3 of them or whatever he made an appearance, like a really good back-end deal. Like, I forget what it translates into today's dollars, but it made him, he was already doing well, but I'm pretty sure it made him and his family very much independently well off. So there's a story that, and I forget who I saw telling the story where, somebody was friends with Alec Guinness and they would go out to lunch when he was older toward, very much older, many years after Star Wars, and he would never let him pay for the bill. And he would just say, no, no, thank you. But I'll get it. Star Wars money. Because he was just rolling in it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So, which I just, I'm not even going to try to do Alec Guinness, but just thinking of him saying that in his voice and his intonation, no. Star Wars money. Give it here. Or something. Just made me smile. What else? I don't know. I mean, otherwise, pretty like we already said. I think they were going. Oh, a lot of these issues were released before the movie. Were all of them released before the movie? I don't even know, Charles.
No,
not all of them.
No, because remember, it was six. It went over 6 months, so I think they released it right before the movie came out. And they hadn't seen it.
Right.
They had not seen the movie. They were working completely off a script.
Right.
In order to do this.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And then when they finished and when they kept going, they didn't have anything. They literally were making it up. There's a literally, ladies and gentlemen, there was your first literally.
Boom.
They were making it up. And I think I've said this before. It gets fucking weird.
It does get freaky deaky. It really does. Hey, before we get to the freaky deaky, one other thing I'd like to point out. I don't remember this. I don't know how many years ago this was. Me and you went to a comic book thing in Irving.
Yes.
And we went with some other people too. And I remember I remember it was like the year before of The Force Awakens when they were going to read, AJ, it had already come out. I think that J.J. Abrams was attached, but that's all you knew. And that they were going to make a continuation of that universe. Mm-hmm. And I have a reprint of the Star Wars #1 that I got when I was a kiddo, in late 70s, like probably in 77, 78, which I was incredibly young when I got it. But then I knew that was coming out and I always wanted a nicer copy. And we were there and somebody was selling Star Wars #1 and it was not graded. And I don't buy slabbed, CGC graded, but in my humble opinion, it was a 9 point something and they were selling it for $200. And look, again, whenever a Force Awakens, I said, hey, I'll give you 100. They said, no, the best we can do 150. And I said, done. I just wanted the nice copy. And now I'm kind of like, well, should I get it graded and sell it and like do something? I don't know. Because it's gone up in value and it's nice and stored and tucked away in a cardboard thing, very protected. So just my little pat on the back to myself. I mean, look, it's not appreciated like so it's $1 million or anything, but it was still kind of cool to have gotten it then and still have it. So there's that. Anyways, so a bunny shows up.
So basically, Hav robbed a dealer, and no, I'm just kidding. They know what they're getting into. No, you didn't rob. You're not robbing a guy that has a booth at a comic book store selling comics.
That's true. That's a very good point. Okay, so then, now the freaky deakiness. So A New Hope ends, and you're right. I guess, as far as I understand it, these guys and girls, I bet eventually, Roy Thomas, Howard Chaykin are your writer and artist, at least for the first, the New Hope issues 1 through 6, and then going into what we read after that.
It says Archie Goodwin, writer-editor.
Okay. Well, and I know he co-plotted some. Did he eventually start writing?
Well, it says writer/editor of going into. It's just something I screenshot here.
Gotcha.
The Rebel Alliance has sent Luke Skywalker to find a new location for their main base after the Battle of the Death Star. But here, on this unnamed planet of the star sun Drexel, Luke has found instead what may be for him and the two droids R2-D2 and C-3PO, a doom world. That was the pirate adventure, right?
Yeah. So, are you talking about issue 7?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's what I have.
Okay.
Again.
Yeah, you're right.
I finished reading all of this. Then the first night I was pretty sure I had COVID and didn't test that Saturday night because we were going to record the Sunday morning when I tested positive for COVID.
Gotcha. Well, okay. So issue 7, we don't have to do a synopsis, but Han's got his money, right? Yes. He's going to go pay Jabba.
Yes, he does.
And he's going to go pay Jabba, and then a freaking Imperial Star Destroyer gets him in a tractor beam, and it turns out to be another mercenary, this weird looking dude that doesn't like to wear pants, and I forget his name, but there's that.
In space, there are no pants.
Gosh darn it, what is this? It's going to kill me. Anyways, they bring him aboard. They take all his money. He's got a ragtag crew. One is a woman that's just very upset.
Oh,
at
she was
everything.
okay. She was my most annoying trope.
Which was what? What's the trope?
It is this. I don't know if it's even really a trope, but she was this man-hating, I'm better than everyone, but it really turns out she just needed a man that was right for her. And
Yeah,
that man evidently turned out to be Han Solo, Lady Killer.
Right. Right. She loves to hate him.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
And everybody kept pointing that out. It really seems like, stop saying that. He's a man.
And I just want to point out in issue 7, they actually say space pirates because they're getting tractor beamed by space pirates.
Yes.
And yeah. So I just thought that was kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, and then they get stranded, right? Is that how it happens? I think so. They get stranded on a planet after they get robbed. They land on the planet. They're trying to get stuff together, and then they decide to do a job for somebody, and that's when they do their Magnificent Seven, right? And that's when you get the Jedi.
Well, they get stranded because they have no money. That's what it is. Yes. So they decide they need a job, and no, they see somebody attacking somebody, and they go to help them, and they're attacking a priest of a. So you have they're throwing in all of this stuff. So it's like a priest, but it's like a sect. So they're even kind of leaning into some Jedi kind of stuff. And he's going to bury a body, and everybody's attacking the priest. So they save him because they didn't want to do that.
That's right.
And then these farmers from another town come along and say, well, we'll pay you. We'll hire you. We need help. We have to do this. Basically, it was the Mandalorian going to that little farm planet, and he and the former rebel drop trooper go and save them, which was also a sort of Seven Samurai thing. I mean, it.
But there were 8 of these guys.
I know. Well,
it's 8 to Abdua or whatever.
But the Mandalorian was 2 people. So I'm saying, but it's still the same plot. Gather a group, a ragtag group, form a team, kill off some of them, and have them win. Although,
exactly.
In the end, did they only kill off the 8th one, which was the robot?
I think the robot, the kid that was friends with the robot, I think lives. Just the what's his name? It is Don Quixote, but it's spelled differently, isn't it?
No, it's Don Juan Quixote.
Don Juan Quixote, sorry.
Yes, and it is spelled different, but it's because they also want to be.
Oh, because Juan is like Obi-Wan. Ha!
Because he's a Jedi. Right. He says he's a Jedi. He is not a Jedi. He is because he's the worst. He's Don.
You'd be the worst Jedi ever.
Yeah, because he's Don Juan Quixote. I mean, it was.
And he's got a lightsaber. He does have a lightsaber.
He does. I can't remember. I swear it looked like he died and then he didn't, or did he die?
You know what? That's a good question too. Because I thought he died, but then I think they brought him back, kind of thing.
Yeah, it was one of those fake out things. And and Dax the bunny.
Dax the bunny. The
Jax,
giant
Jax, not Dax.
Oh, Jax, not Dax. Sorry, Jax.
Jax the bunny.
Yeah.
6 foot. He's a vicious rabbit.
Yes.
With fangs like this. I mean.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I don't remember. Gosh darn it. See, this is why I need to take notes when I'm doing it. Okay, so some of the names: Jackson, but short Jax. Amazia Foxtrain. Did you know that?
Oh, I don't remember her name, but yes, she and Jax go off together, not as a couple, but as a we could get along as a fight. Because Jax mentions that before. You and I would go well together, fighting and team up. We should team up, and she's like, "No, we should. What I work alone." And
exactly.
And then they go off together, and they've recently, by the way, in a Star Wars comic, more recent Star Wars comic. Since Marvel's back to doing it again, once they bought it, they brought back Jax and Maisie.
I heard.
Yeah, it was actually pretty good. They also brought back, I just looked forward to the next one. They brought back the guy that's in the next one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I jumped on. You didn't, I don't think you read this, because it went completely further. Dang it, I lost it.
What? Well, so... They do their old Magnificent 7, Magnificent 8 in this case. Mm-hmm. They only lose one. I want to say that Don Juan Quixote, Oh, tell me they brought him back. They didn't bring him back, did they? That'd be
No,
great if they did.
no, they didn't. No.
Okay. Yeah, and just also the other thing, the bad guy that they're trying to battle is kind of like a caricature, kind of mustachioed bad guy, Skyrider or something. I forget. They're having fun.
They were having a whole lot of fun, and it is borderline hacky, but it's fun. It is space opera. It is space western like crazy. So they lean into pirates. They go to Luke ends up on a water planet where
Right.
a group of space pirates, when they got caught, and they have a big tractor beam on their ship, and they pull ships in and they kill the people on the ships and keep all of their technology.
Yeah.
And then
They're
Princess
ex-Imperial,
Leia,
right?
yes.
Okay.
No, they weren't ex-Imperial. They had their own. They were truly pirates. Honestly,
That's
that
right.
was basically the way that did. They were in control of a planetary system,
That's
and
right.
they had something that would make ships crash. It is very much like the pirates on the Outer Banks, along the eastern seaboard, like in North Carolina, where they would light fires and get ships to crash so they could loot the ships. It's literally that, and I'm sure that's
Yeah.
where they got that idea, because that is a thing that fortunes were made. That was a kind of piracy that you get the ships to crash and then you get to loot it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and okay, so so the Magnificent Eight people that they got, it was like you said, Jax. One of them was Hedgie, the Spiner. He's like a porcupine kind of guy thing.
Oh yes, and
Remember that?
he can fire the quills at people and
Right.
kill them. And they did a whole thing on, and there aren't that many of y'all out there doing this kind of. It was
Right. And then
so. It was so the assembly of this team.
the young kid was Jim, who wanted to be known as the Star Killer Kid.
Yeah.
Was a native of the planet, and his robot Effie.
Oh, and he was actually from that village. Remember
Yeah.
that? So when he gets
Yeah.
to the
Because
village, there's the head of the village's daughter is a hot piece, and Han is
yeah,
all over that, and she has no
Han is the
interest.
ladies' man.
She has no interest in Han whatsoever. And then at the end, she gets with the Star Killer Kid, because good boy comes home, and that was really why he left, is to go and press her, because she was out of his league.
Well, and also, wasn't in some early draft of Star Wars, wasn't it Luke Starkiller at one point?
It was.
I seem to remember. Okay,
It was.
so I guess maybe
I suspect
they were privy to that,
that's a distinct possibility. Yes,
which is kind of cool.
yes, the
I
Star
think.
Killer Kid.
Yeah, and then then does Luke go after him, and then he crashes, and then Leia goes after them, and she crashes, and then they
No,
all get. How
no,
does that all happen? Okay,
no.
see, this is what
They send Luke to go look for.
Han.
No, they send Luke
No,
to go look for a new base, because
that's right.
they're on the base that the Empire knows about.
That's right.
And there's only a matter of time. I mean, they just blew up the Death Star. The Empire is coming for them at some point. Vader got away. It's just a matter of time before Vader gets there and gets back to something, and then tells them, and they send out someone to go. So they need somewhere to hide. So they send Luke out, and then Luke crash lands on that planet I was talking about. So that's going
The
on.
water world.
The water world. Luke is going through that, and at the same time, Princess Leia, who wanted to go with Luke for some good, hot quality brother-sister time. So she finally says, okay, he has been gone too long. We can't get in touch with him. I am going after him. And then she gets picked up by the same pirate that got Han Solo.
Yeah.
And then when Han Solo leaves the Magnificent Eight thing with his booty, he got paid. He's going back, because at least he's going back in that direction. I think he was going back to did he decide that he was going to go back and join the rebellion or do something to see if he could get some money from them or something?
I think maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But he gets pinched again by the same guy. So then he and Leia are together there. And
Yeah.
and then they discuss, so that what happens is they end up taking the pirates to the world that crash landed the ship to go rescue Luke. And then there's just a big battle between all of this. And
Yes, the original one, and the original pirates that took Han's loot originally gets involved, and well, you mentioned about Luke and Leia wanting to go after Luke when he's not responding to communications, blah blah blah. There were a couple times early on after the original 6 issues where I think they kissed a couple times more, which now it's kind of awkward because you find out they're brother and sister, and they were kind of making it that this was the way they were going to go. So I'm curious how I haven't read more, but I kind of want to see if they kind of explore that before they find out in Empire.
They're also, they
or
didn't,
Return, rather.
I was going to say, they don't find out until Return because they didn't make that decision until Return of the Jedi. They were alluding to it. They were alluding to it in Empire, but it wasn't a sure thing. And they were not brother and sister when they shot A New Hope.
Exactly.
Whatever you want to say about George Lucas thought all of this out and everything is, and he pretends that way. It is not true in any way whatsoever. I'm not saying he didn't have a lot of stuff shot out and broad strokes of what he was doing.
Yeah.
But he changed things, and the script writers he worked with changed things, and it worked well. That was one of the things I wanted to talk about. It was really interesting in the Mos Eisley bar cantina. When they're sitting there, and first off, in this, Han absolutely shoots first. I mean, there's not even a...
Oh, yeah.
I just want to maintain that. That wasn't what I was going to talk about, but Han absolutely, completely just takes Greedo out.
Really a lot more just right away than in the movie.
Yeah.
It was just like, Greedo sits down like, boom, I'm done with you, bye.
Yeah. So after the fight, after Obi-Wan shows himself as a Jedi, Chewbacca and he talk. Well, now, knowing the backstory on Chewbacca, knowing that he knew Yoda, he knows the Jedi.
Yeah.
Chewbacca is the reason they got Han Solo to take, because Chewbacca told Han, we're going to help them. He was keeping it close to the vest, but I mean, that has got to be how that works out, is that he's like, dude, and you almost have to wonder if Obi-Wan and Chewbacca had a little chat about Yoda.
Well, yeah, you're right. No, because that's who Chewbacca. Because in the original Star Wars, it's like guy talked to the first mate of a ship.
And
that's Chewbacca.
You almost have to wonder if Obi-Wan saw Chewbacca and I'm going to assume they didn't know each other, but he might have known of him.
Yeah,
because he and Yoda were close, or at least as close as a master and a youngling can be, because they all know him. He might have told him stories about the great warrior Chewbacca that was his friend.
Yeah.
Or read about him in a report, and he's like, oh, wait a minute, that's Chewbacca.
I agree. And no, you're right. Shit.
I want to apologize for how nerdy that was to our listeners.
No, whatever. Hey, the other the Waterworld reference that we both made. Look, I'm not saying that Kevin Costner and whoever came up with Waterworld the movie ripped it off from this comic book.
Yeah, no,
but
they didn't, because this Waterworld was much better than Kevin Costner's Waterworld.
Bam, there you go. No, look, it was Waterworld.
Hold on. That is an unfair statement I made, because I have literally never, second literally, third literally, fourth. Oh, I'm going to stop. I have never seen Waterworld with Kevin Costner.
Shut the front door. Really?
Really?
Oh. Okay.
It did not interest me. I have a tape of Kevin Costner drinking his actual pee.
Okay. Wow. So sorry about that. So yeah, Waterworld. I'm not shocked. I mean, it's kind of dystopian future, which I think is kind of your bag sometimes, but really isn't, because you really haven't suggested that many comic books that are dystopian future. But I don't know. I don't even know if to say it's worth a watch just for the spectacle. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Kevin Costner had some kind of weird, stinky ones that are kind of weird to watch, like Postman. Mm-hmm. I know now Dances with Wolves, even though it won the Oscars, kind of not thought of very highly now. I don't know.
It's very white savior.
Oh, God, is it?
Is it? I mean, that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
I also have not seen that.
No, yes, it very much is. He will show the Native Americans how to battle the white man.
Yeah,
So, yeah. Oh, going back to the Magnificent Seven thing in this, it also made me think of back when Star Wars came out and a little after.
Seven Samurai.
Which is what the Magnificent Seven is based on.
I understand, but we're going to go to the core material. The reason why you go to the core material of Seven Samurai is, I don't know, this might be what you're about to talk about, is it's Kurosami.
Yes. No,
who
I know
is
it's Kiarostami.
who
Go ahead.
is who is a person that George Lucas respected greatly and ripped off blindly for Star Wars.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there's that. But I was also so Seven Samurai right after, not right after. I think I forget when Battle Beyond the Stars came out. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
No.
The it's a really bad sci-fi, very B movie that came from the studio, and I swear his name is Corman, but not Harvey Korman. That
Okay.
was Tim Conway's buddy.
Yeah,
It,
no, I know who
it
you're
was
talking
it was a
about.
knockoff of Star Wars combined, just speaking of blindly ripping somebody off, of the Seven Samurai, because it's a kid from a planet who's being under siege by a big bad guy force armada, has to go gather 6 other heroes, just disparate, different personalities, and it's, guess what, there's 7 of them total, and they win. And I just love it because they did it first here in the comic book, and then lo and behold, in 1980, it gets done. Oh, okay, here it goes. Richard Thomas from Little House on the Prairie is in it. Robert Vaughn, George Peppard, John Saxon.
Oh my
So those are
Lord.
some names that, if you're from the late 70s, early 80s, that are pretty well known.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out and... It was written by John Sayles, who would go on to write Eight Men Out, and some other big ones. Oh, Roger Corman is his name. He's the one that had the B studio where a lot of people got their start.
Well,
That's where Ron Howard directed his first movie.
he
Go ahead.
he did the Fantastic Four movie that's never been seen.
Right, to retain the rights.
That's right.
I think the special effects on this also, I think, if this is off the top of my head because I was trying to go to the page, but I think James Cameron worked on the special effects for Battle Beyond the Stars. And there's one other person that I'm blanking on that turned out to be a pretty big heavy hitter down the way after doing this. So anyways, I thought that was interesting. Maybe it was Sales I'm thinking of, but I always just makes me smile because I remember going to the I remember going to the theater to see Battle Beyond the Stars right around when Empire was coming out, maybe it was in between Star Wars and Empire, and being so excited. I liked it when I was a kid because I was a kid, but oh my God, it does not hold up. It is terrible. But you might want to do yourself a favor. I bought it on DVD.
Okay.
Years ago. I might have to lend it to you just so you can see the majesty of how greatly bad it is.
Or I might have to come over and watch it.
There you go.
We can watch it together.
Yeah. Oh, so James Horner did the score. I mean, there's a lot of just everybody cutting their teeth on this movie. It's awesome. So yeah.
Okay, cool.
So there was that.
So
okay, we were talking.
the most.
Go ahead.
No, you had something to go along with that.
No. Go ahead. It was a tangent.
Okay. The most shocking thing I thought about the end of this arc we're talking about with the Waterworld stuff is that they managed to kill off both Han Solo and Luke Skywalker in it.
Whoops. Is that bad?
Yeah, that was okay. So see that was why I was like, you go ahead, because the joke I loaded was not that funny. That was, but I still wanted to say it.
Yeah. God, yeah, the Waterworld thing was weird. Okay,
it was really weird.
Through it.
Yeah, it was weird. It was. I told you the whole thing is weird, and they didn't know where they were going. They were just doing sci-fi plots, and they were cranking them out because that's what you do in comics. You crank out the next story and the next arc.
Yeah,
and
they were on a schedule,
and they were making up a world. They were making up a universe, and so they were mining. They were mining a lot of Western tropes.
Yeah.
So
being the hero, going town to town, planet to planet. Yeah. I mean, why not? Gotta do something.
And they couldn't really do anything with the characters other than what they were doing, just, okay, whatever this baseline we're at. So we've got to bring in other characters to do things because we also can't kill off any of these characters, or we can't maim them, or we can't change them in any real way because there's going to be another movie. So they have to be who they are. And if George Lucas wants to change them, that's fine, but we can't. So it's an interesting thing when they're working with a licensed property like that, because there is only so much you can do with it.
True, but then you get to do stuff like Don Juan, Quixote, and you do Jax, and you do all the ancillary characters.
John Juan Quixote was a joke and a kind of a one note joke. However, Rogue One. Rogue One.
Okay.
I am the blind guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am one with the Force, and the Force is one.
One
The
with
Force is
yeah
with me. I'm one with the Force, and yes, he was very much a
yeah,
Juan Quixote type, Don Juan Quixote type.
but definitely a Jedi.
He wasn't a Jedi. He
Uh,
was not a Jedi. Okay, we can have
okay.
this. We can have this
Yeah.
discussion
Okay.
later
And
because
so
this is a long discussion. But no, he was not a Jedi. If he were a Jedi,
uh,
they would
I
have killed him. There's a
I think it was an ex Jedi.
He is not an ex-Jedi. He was never a Jedi. Neither was his friend. They were the Temple of the Wills, which is anyway. Never mind.
They were
Oh,
force sensitive. Can we say that?
they believe in the Force.
He went to that whole thing where he just walks through, doesn't get hit, and I don't know.
Yes, because
yeah.
he was praying to an entity, a thing that binds us together that he believes in. Everyone in the universe, based on this, is Force sensitive. I said we weren't going to get into this, but he is not a Jedi.
Okay, well, you're
he is
wrong.
not a Jedi. I am not wrong.
So you're wrong. So that's okay.
Oh, Hav.
No,
You
anyway,
know when
so-
you and I are disagreeing, who's wrong.
Oh. Oh. Okay, so one other thing before we jump off of this. I enjoyed it. I really did,
did too.
even though okay, there's one thing I wanted to mention. So the first, the A New Hope, Star Wars, they stretched out to 6 issues.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel they could have done it in 4. I feel like they kind of stretched out some parts, maybe 5. I don't know. That was one nitpick. And then what I did like though is that in the continuation of the series, they were doing arcs. It wasn't just. I mean, I know it's the late 70s, but they weren't just doing one off. Here's an issue. Here's an issue. They had arcs that they would stretch over, 2 or 3 issues. You're finishing one thing, you're going to the next thing. I thought it was good, and So there's that. So
I enjoyed it as well, and I didn't. They might could have done it in 5. I don't think they could have done it in 4 and done it justice.
okay.
I think there were so many points that they wanted to hit in it that it took them 6 issues, and I thought that was a fairly tight 6-issue arc for the movie. So
I just remember there was one issue where I felt like hardly anything happened, but I didn't. Again, as opposed to what I usually do, I really didn't take a lot of notes. I didn't take any notes. Okay, one other sci-fi Star Wars adjacent thing. I don't know. I don't know that I've asked you this. I know we both like Star Wars, obviously, and we both like Star Trek.
okay, I thought you were going to ask me again if I like Star Trek. I was like, dude, we talk about this all the time.
No.
Right.
Do you like one? Do you like either more than the other, or can you even compare them? Or I kind of play like I can't choose between my children, kind of thing.
I like Star Wars more.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair. I just
Yeah,
asked.
I understand. I like Star Wars more. I enjoy Star Trek in a completely different way than I do Star Wars.
Okay.
Star Wars, it was a defining thing in my life. I came to Star Trek when I was I spent a summer watching Star Trek, but this was before A New Generation came out. The Next Generation came out. I think it was Channel 21. They would air it every night, and I spent an entire summer watching Star Trek. So I saw most of the original series doing it like that, and I was like, this is awesome, because I was a science fiction-y kid. But the fact that I saw Star Wars, that it's the first movie I remember seeing in a theater, and came home and explained it all to my grandmother, and in like 2.5 minutes, and my dad was like, who took me, he's like, yep, that was about it. And
Yeah.
played with the toys throughout my childhood, watched all 3 movies, read Alan Dean Foster's A Splinter of a Mind's Eye when it came out, read the Han Solo books that came out, read anything I could get my hands on that was Star Wars. Of course, as I've also pointed out, I've read a bunch of Star Trek novels too, but still. So I really do like Star Trek quite a bit, but just they came into my life at a different time, so they mean different things to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. I like I said, I was just curious because I know you do enjoy both, and we've talked about both. And I know they're different. So I said, I just was curious.
Yeah.
Did you ever read any comic books, Star Trek comic books?
No, I did not.
Okay. All right.
I did check
So,
one
yeah.
out. I did check one out of the library recently, and then
Okay.
I returned it without reading it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do
really?
that. I check some stuff out, and then I go, I've had this too long. I should bring it back so somebody else can read it, and I haven't gotten to it.
Like a hard, or you mean Hoopla?
No, I literally,
Okay.
yeah, hard
Okay.
copy.
That's what I thought. A
Yeah.
hard copy. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you
Oh,
know
no,
if it
no,
was
no.
DC
If
or
I
Marvel?
I think it was Image. or something.
Oh, a newer one. Okay.
Yeah, no,
Gotcha.
it was very new. It was
Okay.
the premise of it intrigued me. It was they brought three captains in for a Q war type thing. Kirk,
Oh,
Picard, and I want to say Janeway.
Janeway.
I want to say
Sisko.
that it might be somebody else though. I can't remember because again, it sat in my chair for a while, and then I just never read it. And I should have because
Gotcha.
I was actually interested. I was like, that could it intrigued me from the that could be fun kind of thing.
Yeah.
Three different people. One of the greatest things I saw recently, Star Trek wise, was Picard would like the actor that played him, and Kirk would beat the crap out of William Shatner.
That's hilarious.
and and
Yeah.
accurate.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Okay, well, hey, you know what? I didn't think we were going to take this much time to talk about. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I thought we would run through Star Wars.
You didn't think the two of us would spend this much time talking about Star Wars.
Well, we talked about a lot of other stuff besides Star Wars, obviously. No, I don't know. It's just it was a fun read. It's definitely goofy, freaky, deaky. Yeah, just doing whatever they wanted. So, do we have anything in between, or
Yes.
are we jumping straight into?
We have
okay.
We have mail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do.
We got someone sent us a through the contact form on our website.
Ooh,
Hav
what's
and
that
Charles.
website called?
havandcharles.com. If you look up at the top, you go to havandcharles.com, you look at the top, it says send Hav mail, and you click on that and you can send mail.
Oh, hey, it does. I didn't notice that.
You didn't know it says send Hav mail? Yeah, that's
awesome.
You get really excited about it. So
I do.
it is a message from Julie.
Perfect.
It is, hi Charles and Patrick. What did Hav get wrong? Last night we were sitting on the couch and Hav was scrolling through his phone. There's a neighborhood app where people can post goings on in our area, lost pets, etc. One person posted that there is a homeowner representing themselves as a licensed psychotherapist. The post warned people not to accept therapy from this person or any unlicensed person. Hav read this and then asked me, "What is equine therapy?" I told him it was using horses/riding as a form of treatment for people receiving therapy for mental or physical issues. He gave me a blank look, then started laughing. He thought equine therapy was a way to provide mental health treatment to horses. So some unlicensed person is running around our neighborhood acting as Freud to horses. It took me a minute to get over my disbelief before I could laugh. I hope this provides some content. Thanks, Julie.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Look, hold on.
I have
before.
Hold on. Don't defend yourself. That's hilarious. Did she tell you she was writing me this?
No.
Oh, thank God.
No.
Because I had that Sunday when we were watching football.
Oh my God.
And I did not bring it up, and I did not get a chance to ask her if she told you, so I did not bring it up because I wanted.
No.
If she
had mentioned that she had mentioned that she was going to write you something, I think, or because I said, hey, Charles invited you to. She's like, oh, I know. So I was pretty sure she was going to send you something. I completely forgot about that. Like I was trying to, in fact, just the other day, because I knew we were going to be recording soon, and she had mentioned she had sent. I was like, what is she going to go to? Like, because I never make mistakes. No, I do make mistakes. But, or say, because I remember, like, I was thinking, like, years ago, I famously said that Tom Hanks got nominated for Apollo 13. And I was convinced, like, I would bet her $20, $100. She's like, you're wrong. I was like, I'm not. And sure. So I had no idea. So I knew she was probably going to send you. I just have it was just a little one-off funny moment. And I was like, oh, duh, and then moved on. But yeah, it was pretty. I felt kind of. It was.
She went for something hilarious, and legitimately, we have all had that kind of brain thing happen.
It was just
on
like
stuff.
Equine therapy.
What is equine therapy?
Why are they giving therapy to a horse?
Well, in fairness, I will give you this: they do give therapy to pets. There is pet therapy.
Yes, exactly. There is pet therapy.
Yes. So in your defense.
But not.
Little bit of
But not that nichey. They're just not going to go equine.
It's not. Yeah, it's not equine. I mean, a pet therapist might work with a horse, but
Oh, okay. That cracked me. I was crying.
I know that was great.
I completely, I probably blocked it out. I completely forgot about that. Oh, that was funny.
Okay. So we have a new listener to our podcast because of this segment.
Who?
My sister. I told my sister about Patrick and I doing Patrick. When Patrick came on the podcast, I told her that I came up with a new segment saying that Rochelle and Julie should send me stuff where they both did things wrong, and I would read them so then I could start my own podcast. And she said she was legit. She's been legit thinking of sending me stuff that Jim did. That's her husband. And I laughed at that, and I said, "Yeah." And I guess I need somebody else on the podcast. I'll need somebody else on the podcast with me to discuss it. And I think it should be a married guy. I'm a single guy, so I'll read this from one way, and it's these wives sending in stuff, and I'll be like, "Oh, okay. Do I defend it? Whatever." And then maybe I have a husband, and she's like, "No, you might need a woman." I could be. I was like, that's not bad. Now I have been thinking further is what it should be is me, and then I get female comedians to come on and be the second person, and I'll read the stuff they say, and I'll possibly try to defend it, and then I'll let funny women just go ahead and dunk on dumbass men. So yes. I do think I now have a real podcast idea.
I think you do. I really think you do. You do. No, you absolutely do.
I really do think a lot of women would very much love to write in and tell people when their husbands are wrong.
Yeah, I do. I think that's right. I know there's that whole thing about am I the asshole?
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah. Am I the asshole? Yeah, it's am I the asshole? The thing is with am I the asshole? 98% of the time, absolutely.
Darn near 100.
Yeah.
If you have to ask, if you're even wondering.
Oh, no. Sometimes you get people writing in that are being absolutely gaslit by the people around them.
Okay,
and I mean, because you'll read one and you're like, "Oh no, honey, no, you are not the asshole. You should murder all of these people." And it's just those are obviously the rare ones. The other ones are you're just like, "Yes, your girlfriend is right. See, that's the thing. Almost normally when they're not the asshole, it's a woman that's written in. And it's the guy claiming that they're wrong. Whereas almost every time a guy writes am I the asshole? Absolutely, you're the asshole.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah.
I think you are correct, sir.
So, as I said, you can email us via that website. You can also email us via Gmail at havandcharlestalkcomics@gmail.com. We have a show Twitter page, Hav and Charles, AND instead of the ampersand, Hav and Charles on Twitter. I am Herring Red Real on Twitter, and Hav is Hav Gonzo Tweets on Twitter. So,
yep.
You can reach out to any of us either of us via that, and we welcome it. It's fun.
Are you staying on the Twitter?
I'm staying on Twitter.
Okay, me too.
We'll write this down to death. As I said when we were texting the other day, I loved the thread somebody wrote on Twitter about Tumblr, how Yahoo bought Tumblr for $1 billion, but ended up selling it for $3 million. So if the people on Tumblr could do that and make Yahoo lose $3 billion, by God, us people on Twitter can absolutely make Elon Musk lose $44 billion.
Right. Well, and Yahoo was just on a roll because I think that was after they had the chance to buy Google for No, was it after that?
Facebook is what they had the opportunity to buy.
Oh my God.
They offered to buy Facebook for $100 million, and if they had gone to $110 million, the other shareholders would have forced the sale on whatever douchebags.
The guy.
Yeah.
I swear there's something, or maybe it was the guys that came up with Google had the code or something, and were willing to sell it to Yahoo, and they lowballed them, and they're like, screw it, we're going to start our own web browser.
Oh, okay.
I swear there's some story like that.
Well, that might have been. I don't know anything about that. Yeah, that could have been.
Yahoo made a lot of mistakes.
Well, they also gave, $6 billion, $4 billion to buy broadcast.com from Cuban.
Oh, that's right.
And I'm
Anyways,
sorry.
yeah.
By the way, that's not a bad. Putting radio on the internet wasn't a bad idea, but it also wasn't worth billions of dollars. Just do it. It's
Yeah.
it's the more difficult part is the licensing part of it. The actual writing the code to stream audio is not
Yeah.
is not the level of, oh my God, you can't hire a programmer to do that. I mean, come on. Because he got his friend that, I mean, it was, he and his buddy just wanted to listen to, was it whatever the games he wanted, Indiana games, I think. Yeah, Indiana basketball games
Yeah.
online. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So tangent. But
yes.
all right.
Equine
Any other in
therapy.
between stuff?
No, that is
Yeah,
the only in between stuff. That wasn't enough.
That cracked me up. Oh my God. That was I hadn't laughed that hard in a long time.
Thank you very much, Julie.
Yes. Thanks, Julie. That was hilarious. I totally forgot about that. I think I blocked it out. Okay. So you suggested something a little bit more recent. Surprise for us to read. And I've kept on mispronouncing. I kept on wanting to say Batman Year Zero. It's Batman Zero Year.
Mm-hmm. That's
Batman
because they couldn't
Zero
do year one, year zero, because they did year one. So it had to be zero year. Plus, it's not even Batman that's 0 year. It's the Riddler is 0 year because he resets. Yeah. So it's not even... Because this is kind of a sort of Batman Year One story in that sense, because it's right at the beginning of him becoming Batman. Well, it's pre-Batman and then Batman.
Exactly. Well, yeah, because he's, first of all,
First, he's just running around doing crap as he came back, and he's not officially back as Bruce Wayne. He's just running around Gotham, fighting the Red Hood, the Red Hood's gang.
Yeah. And Red Hood gang, and go ahead. No, go ahead.
Fighting the Red Hood's gang, and I just to let everybody know who the Red Hood eventually ends up as that's the Joker's origin story. The head of the Red Hood falls into a vat of acid and becomes the Joker.
Which I, of course, immediately thought of Killing Joke that I read as a kiddo, because the Red Hood is, they give the origin story there. And I know it's from other places too, but that's where I first remember reading that origin, and then seeing it here. It was pretty cool. Also, just this making the world bigger, of just where I don't know. Whereas it was more just one-off bad guys and smaller. This was like a citywide. The Red Hood gang was infiltrating all parts of Gotham and blackmailing all sorts of people. God, and Gotham just again is just a terrible place to live.
Oh, it is. That town needs an enema.
Ha ha. No, so yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm guessing you did, since you'd read it before.
Yeah, correct? I'd read it. That's why I suggested it. Yeah, no, I really liked that. I like reorigining. Is that a word? Reorigining sometimes.
Yeah.
When they get into it,
reimagining.
Yeah.
Would you say, or no?
Yeah,
reimagining.
Yeah, okay. Fleshing out is what I would say.
Okay. Yeah.
I like when they flesh out origins. I liked Year One. Batman Year One is great. I
do too.
We should probably read that as well at some point. But this one was much more recent. I was actually thinking of, if we were going on longer, I would have done Batman and Robin when Bruce Wayne is actually dead and Damian is the Robin and Dick Grayson takes over as Batman, because I read that and really enjoyed it. So we'll do that one as well at some point. But I've already got what we're going to read next for the finale. That I decided was the finale like a week ago.
Okay.
Based on where we are in the year.
Well, we're recording this the Wednesday after, Halloween. So, we're getting up against holiday time.
Yes.
And stuff gets a little harder to do and crazy. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of fleshing out, like I think you've mentioned, when reading that you've read stuff in particular, like Spider-Man, where they go back and flesh out his origin, and whereas in the original run, it was a few pages, a few panels of him getting bitten by the spider and turning into Spider-Man, and then boom, he's Spider-Man, pretty fast, and then they stretch that out and flesh it out, and it's cool and it's fun.
Yeah, and the first little run takes place over 2 years or something, and you can go back and go in between those stories they tell there and tell other Spider-Man stories too. And they've done that. They'll go back and they'll do some stuff while he's in high school, and they'll update it, because they'll update it with who he was with the current Peter Parker, where they are in the timeline right now with, a cell phone and other things.
Or did they have Osborn Norman sleep with Gwen Stacy? Remember that?
Turned out to not be true.
Okay. Good.
I think they re-retconned that out because so that was a retcon that they did that, and I think later they retconned that back out. They made that as because that didn't really happen. That was pretty awful.
That was awful, but did it turn out that Gwen Stacy and Norman Osborn, when that happened, were both Doombots in disguise? Is that how they retconned that out?
No, Gwen Stacy was a Doombot.
Nice. And then at the end,
Norman Osborn,
gotcha.
Norman Osborn fucked a robot, and
then the Doombot said, "Gotcha, sucker."
Well, there's when they do that arc with the accelerated aging children of her and Norman Osborn, they think their father is Peter Parker, and they come to kill him for knocking up their mother and abandoning them. And Uncle Norman is taking care of them and raised them to hate Spider-Man. And you have to also remember Norman Osborn. This is when they brought Norman Osborn back to life after A Brand New Day. But then there's a scene where Peter Parker tells Mary Jane, "They're not my children. They can't be my children." And Mary Jane says, "I know. Gwen told me. Y'all never had sex." Well, I shouldn't say it like that, but that's the...
Yeah, I know you're a virgin. Come on.
I know you lost your virginity to me. I was there. Only a virgin fucks like that.
Yeah. All right. There you go. So, hey, weird tangent.
You brought it up.
I know I did. This originally, so just to give the time frame, the first issue of Batman 0 Year, August of 2013. So almost 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And written by the great Scott Snyder. I know he's done some stuff here, and Greg Capullo is how I'm going to say his name.
Very good art.
Very, very good art. Going back real fast to Star Wars, you were right. Archie Goodwin did write some of the beginning stuff and some of the issues, along with I think it's like they were trading. It would be Archie writing some, and then Archie Goodwin writing some, and then what's his face, Roy Thomas writing some. So, and both of those guys are just like, well-respected elder statesmen of the comic book industry. Still, I don't know if Archie Goodwin's still with us. I'm pretty sure Roy Thomas. You know what? I don't know. Howard Chaykin also.
Yeah, please don't kill somebody that's not killed, not dead.
I don't know. I know they're older.
It's okay. It's okay to say you don't know.
I don't know. I just know that they're very. They got some skins on the wall.
They have some chops. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm going to point out Tom Palmer inked it, and Tom Palmer was the inker for John Buscema on my big Avengers run that I love from the 80s.
Oh, very cool.
It's back when, I don't know, back way when. Okay, so going back to Batman 0 Year, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Do you know, look, I know that there's a lot to draw from Batman comic books for every kind of iteration of movie and TV they do. Do you know if they drew anything from this?
Yeah, the latest Batman.
The Batman.
Oh yeah, this is where that whole Riddler thing came from.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I was guessing so. Okay.
Well, I don't know.
I thought so.
I don't know for sure, but when I saw the Riddler movie, the Batman. When I saw the Batman, I was like, oh, this is 0 Year.
Yeah. Okay. Because that's immediately what I thought of. If you want to, it's different. Look, it's not like they did,
Oh yeah,
storyboard. They used it for a storyboard, but it was definitely has the same kind of thing where
it has
Nigma,
Nigma is the same type of character. He is not in this. Nigma is a wackadoo that works for corporations and basically tells corporations what to do. He is a business insider. He likes riddles, so he figures things out. He figures out what they need to do to make money.
And manipulates things.
He manipulates markets and he manipulates everything, and he tells them who to rob and who to buy and what to sell and who to bribe. And he's worked with lots of different corporations. He is working for the Wayne Foundation, the Wayne Corp, whatever.
Wayne Enterprises.
Thank you. You are correct. Sorry. The Wayne
Yeah.
Foundation is the charity. That was what I was. The Wayne Foundation, for people who think Batman dressing up, having his fetish and beating up on criminals, and he doesn't do anything for the poor. The Wayne Foundation is what does things for the poor and does job programs and does affordable housing and does. Anyway, sorry. So
Yeah.
he's back in town. The Red Hood is out robbing people and bribing and blackmailing people into being the regular members of the community are part of the Red Hood gang. They all have a number. Is it tattooed on them?
I forget.
I think it's tattooed on them.
Probably.
I think they have
I
a
think it
number
might be.
literally tattooed on them. And they are part of the Red Hood gang because the Red Hood knows who they are and how to kill them or whatever. And so they are part of the gang. And they're robbing people. And Batman is trying to stop this. He's trying to do it without the GCPD because they're massively corrupt. He hates Lieutenant Jim Gordon.
Yeah.
He hates him. That was a great story.
It was.
Arc in there. I really liked that.
Where they kept on teasing it and teasing it. And then you find out. I think they had done this before, but not to the point where the jacket comes in, the trench coat. I mean, that was all from this, but where there had been versions where Jim Gordon, not Commissioner Gordon at the time, but just regular old Detective Joe Gordon, is the cop that gets little Bruce from the scene and all that. But then this, again, speaking of fleshing out, you get this whole, Bruce / Batman. Well, Bruce hates, like you said, just does not like Gordon because he thinks Gordon's crooked.
Yeah, he
just like everybody else.
Well, he has a real good reason why he thinks he's crooked. And throughout all the more recent, and I don't know how far back it goes, Gordon has been the thorn in the side of the corrupt GCPD. He was disliked by a lot of the GCPD because he is not corrupt. He is known for not corrupt. He came from Chicago.
Yeah.
And was shocked at how corrupt it was. And
which is saying something because Chicago, come on.
Yeah, back when he would have gotten that story part. So
yeah,
the story being Bruce Wayne was always running away to go into the city, and he would skip school as a kid. And one day he gets in trouble for truancy, and two cops go and catch him watching Zorro, and they take him in the car, and they're going to take him back. And evidently they made a stop, and Jim's sitting in the car, and his partner goes in because his partner's the guy that picks up all the money. Comes back, and it's kind of like it's the same as in Batman Begins, the same thing going on. He's like, the guys don't like it when you don't take a taste, so he comes in and gives him a coat from the
tailor or whatever.
From the tailor. Bruce thinks he only got it just because there are people that respect cops and it was just a gift and it's a nice thing. Lo and behold, later he realizes it's a bribe. Whether or not, but I mean, it is a bribe. It is a corrupt thing. And the story on that, though, is Jim Gordon doesn't like that. And doesn't he go and try to bust that whole place once he realizes what's going on? And they have him fight. It's because it's a dog fighting ring, and they have him fight a dog, and they're betting on it if the dog kills a police officer, and fellow cops are betting on it because this is Gotham. It was a brutal kind of thing. So that day that he does that, though, when Bruce gets home, he talks to his dad, and his dad's asking him, well, why does he do this, and what does he love about Gotham? There's some whole deep crap in it, and he goes, well, you went and saw Zorro because you were talking about what you think about it, and he says, well, I didn't like it.
Yeah,
so his dad insists that they go back and see Zorro again. So that's why
That's right.
So it was all part of that day that is the worst day of his life.
Yeah, not good. But very well done. Look, I think I've famously said before, I've read my Batman comic books, I've read my Batman Origins. This was good. It was very well done. I don't know if I'm going to say great, but it was very good. I'm not saying it's, top, it's a very good, not like I said, it's not bad. It was good. I liked it.
If it misses from being great, it's because it's treading so much of same ground that has been done before.
There you go. I agree with that.
I mean, they've broken Gotham so many times. I mean, and they completely break Gotham. And the Riddler breaks Gotham. He takes the lights out. He's flooded parts of it. and he's willing to capitulate if someone can give him a riddle that he can't solve. And when they can't do that, when he solves it, if he solves it, he kills them. So
into a pit of alligators or something.
Yes.
Right.
Well, first it was alligators, and then it was because it changed, because that was part of the thing when Bruce goes and he drops him into it. It turns out not to be what they thought it was, because he was prepared for maybe the alligators, and then it was lions.
That's right.
And he says, "Ha ha! I was tired of the lions." But Bruce Wayne, Batman can fight that. Batman fractures his skull fairly early.
God, that's right. He fractures. Yeah.
And he goes through a lot of this. Well, when the whole 0 year takes place,
that's right. He wakes up to it.
He wakes up. This kid took him in, and he's sharing a little old lady's hospital stuff that they have at their house or their apartment. It's just it was enjoyable. I liked it.
No, look again. This is go ahead. Sorry.
And it wasn't the thing I liked about it is I've read they did one where they destroyed the city and they've made Gotham. You can't come in and you can't leave kind of thing. The U.S. has written it off completely. And Batman's fighting the good fight, and all of the Bat family is there doing stuff. This wasn't anything other than that. He's gathering the family. He's gathering Lucius. He's Gordon. He's making up with Gordon because when he escapes from something, Gordon saves him.
That's right.
And he would not have. It would have been the end of it. And Gordon takes off his glasses because he's blind without his glasses, because he has to take off his mask. And he says, "Look, I can't see without my glasses here." Yeah. So he could have known he was Bruce Wayne, but he's like, "This is the trust I have in you, so I want you to trust in me." So they're building a real rapport there. So it was a really nice. There were a lot of good things in this comic.
Well, and that's when he tells him the story about how he feels bad and he tells him the story about young Bruce when he's talking to Batman and doesn't know he's talking to now old Bruce Wayne, older Bruce Wayne. And that's when Bruce figures out, okay, this guy's not a bad dude.
Yeah.
He was, got involved in something bigger than him. The other thing, going back, you're right, putting everything together, you see the animosity or the butting heads between him and Alfred.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, doesn't he slap Alfred at one point, if I'm remembering right? I swear to God he does. Or Alfred slaps him. I forget what it was. They get in, some words are exchanged.
They really get into it, yes. Well, Alfred wants him to come back to life, for one thing. He wants him to have a life. I swear,
I think Bruce slapped. I swear and again, it's been a bit, but no, it was really interesting and cool to see all, hey, he's back, but he's not back. And Alfred's trying to convince him to re-enter, announce that he's back, and then the uncle does it.
Yeah, the uncle does it, surprises him with it, because the uncle finds out he's alive and invites him to see something, and it's a welcome back Bruce Wayne party.
Yeah.
At a museum where he meets Enigma.
And then fast forward.
I did not mess up issues.
Oh, I accidentally.
No, I know you did.
I know. I
know you were playing with your chicken.
Yeah.
While we do the podcast.
I play with my chicken while we do the podcast. Oh my God, that's so bad. Well, I was going to say, fast forward to the end then, where Alfred is still trying to get him to be more normal when he's Bruce Wayne, and he wants to introduce him to an old childhood friend who just happens to have grown up to be a super hot woman. And you think Bruce is going to go say hi, and he takes off to go do Batman stuff.
Well, they do that whole split thing where if he had actually met her, what would happen?
Right.
They even show, instead of being Batman, he becomes a happy, fulfilled human being who uses his money to philanthropically help Gotham instead of putting on a bat suit and beating up criminals.
Yeah.
I really shouldn't do that, because I really do like the character of Batman. I as I've said before, there's just so much pretentiousness about Batman in the public,
there's been, look, I haven't been reading any Batman here recently. This was nice to read. It's my understanding, just the few times I go to the comic book store, Batman essentially is DC Comics now. Apparently Batman is every title, everything's Batman centric. They did the Joker thing, or Batman's evil. What was it? Batman laughs, or there was a lot of Batman. So I think there's been some, maybe, look, who am I to say if there's too much Batman? Yay, there's a lot of Batman. But anyways,
There has been a lot of good Batman though. So
yes, there has been. I think when you recommended this or suggested we read this, I was trying to, or when we were talking about the writer of Strange New Worlds, I was confusing it with the guy that did Court of Owls. I really liked Court of Owls. This is on
good.
par with Court of Owls. I think I maybe liked Court of Owls a little bit better, but Court of Owls was just different. God, that was messed up.
Court of Owls was messed up. Now there's some really fun stuff in the ancillary. It wasn't in this, but there's some ancillary titles where
I saw that
Barbara Gordon is doing some stuff in here as a young lady. She's rescuing people from the flooding. Where Dick Grayson is in town with the circus, and they're off at they had snuck off to see a movie when it happens, and they have to escape back through the town with some circus kids. There is some kind of fun stuff with that. Some people got to play in a playground kind of at the same time, and I enjoyed that because when I think when I read this originally, I got the actual media from the public library. The public library, it's free, yo. So I actually got it, and it was one of those bigger volumes where it had literally everything that came out with Batman 0 year. It's like
because it was a year-long event according to what I read.
Yeah, if we ever read Spider-Man the Clone Saga, no, I'm just kidding. We're never reading that. If we ever read the multiverse, Into the Multiverse, the Spider-Verse saga.
Spider-Verse. I know, but go ahead.
Yeah, if we ever read Spider-Verse, I'll want us to read the entire thing. And I mean, it is long. It might actually have to be a multi-podcast thing because it is across these titles. It is just this long and with lots of different things, and because they break off into massive teams and go off across, well, the Spider-Verse. Yeah. The Web of Life.
No, you've told me about it, and I've read a little bit. I've read of it just because you mentioned it, and yeah, it seems like it would be cool and different. A couple of things I do want to mention. Well, first, the question. There was a whole thing, the weird rogue ex-Wayne Enterprises scientist with the bones and everything. What that was in there, and I remember it. I know Nigma's manipulating him, and it was just one of those things, but that was messed up. That was very messed up. But interesting. I mean, a new kind of bad guy, but that was ugly.
I liked the fake out. I liked the fake out when they did the whole thing to make it look like Lucius was the bad guy.
Oh yeah,
they did. It was more of a brief thing. It was a lead up to it, and then he jabs something into Bruce Wayne, and then it turns out it was an inoculation, so he wouldn't turn into the die of the bone thing. But it was a oh my god. Whoa, that's a weird fake out.
When they did that, I was like, ooh, this is interesting because they're going to have to fix this eventually, but they fixed it right away. I almost kind of wonder if there was ever a thought of, we're going to leave Lucius. I don't know how they would have done that though, but it was a good fake out because it got me. I was like, what the hell?
It was a surprise, and because it did not make sense in any way whatsoever because Lucius Fox is a good guy. So.
Right. What else? Oh, the purple gloves. I remember I wrote this down while we were talking. I forget if it's ever explained in this. I don't know that it is, but I know that in the original Detective Comics issues, Batman wore purple gloves, and I don't know why, and it went away. But in this,
he wears purple gloves.
Purple gloves.
No, I don't think they said anything about it. And you know what? I didn't notice.
I was going to say, and I know you didn't notice it because you're colorblind, and probably those purple gloves look just like everything else. But just so you know, that was a thing. Go ahead. But I know you're colorblind, but it's worth noting.
No. It was totally worth noting. No, I'm laughing because it was I'm sure they look just the same as everything else. No, I can differentiate between. Everything just looks like this one color.
No, but if it's a dark purple and a dark blue.
I call it blurred. It's a mashup I call the color I see blurred. It's a mashup of blue and red. I'm assuming. I don't know. I see blurred.
Yeah. Blurred.
What color shirt am I wearing? Blurred?
Exactly. No, I don't know. It just I know you don't. Yeah. Anyways.
No, I would not have noticed it was purple. It would look blue to me. That is correct.
And then the other thing, since they did the purple gloves, again, back in the original Detective Comics, Batman had sometimes a sidearm. And I was kind of wondering if they were ever going to break out Bruce with
With a
some
gun.
pistoles or,
No,
you know,
he did have a bow and arrow, a crossbow, at one point
yeah,
in this.
yes, that's true. But no, it was just, like I said, because they did the purple gloves, I was like, hey, maybe they're going to give him a revolver or
Yeah, because we know
something.
billionaires are into archery.
Well, God. Hey, stay in your lane, Bruce. That's Oliver Queen's territory there. Okay, well, what else? I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Look, it was really it was good. It wasn't you know what, a fast read too.
Yeah,
I
no,
remember that.
they
I
don't.
got
They don't.
through it pretty darn fast.
Yeah, they don't. It's a fun comic book. It really is. It's not.
I agree.
It didn't break new ground. It didn't. But I don't. As you know, I don't think every comic book has to be the greatest comic book ever in order to enjoy them.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else we've missed. There is an appearance by the Penguin, but just kind of brief, where he's rescued from Red Hood by Bruce at one point. Yes, yes. Burgess Meredith always will be my Penguin. All due respect to Danny DeVito.
I'm kind of leaning to the kid that was on Gotham.
Oh yeah, that guy was good, right? That was one of the best parts of Gotham.
Dude, I love that guy.
Yeah.
He.
I watched the first couple seasons of that. How many seasons? That thing lasted a while.
I think it was around 4.
For
And it kind of limped along.
It was good. It was okay.
I enjoyed it. I did. But there were some characters in it that were better. The Riddler was good too.
Yeah, I was going to say they had the Riddler in that one too.
There was a lot of good stuff in that. It was fun.
They teased a guy that was going to be Joker. I don't know if that ever ended up being Joker. And
well, they killed one of him, and then his twin brother was going to turn into the Joker. So no, it was they had a lot of fun. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. No,
I do that with shows though. It kind of got stale for me, and I just stopped.
Sometimes they get bogged down. There's just so much, and they were trying to do so much. I mean, they did Ra's al Ghul. That's the problem a lot of times with a TV show. They're doing Gotham, which is not Batman's not even around, but they're doing all the Batman stories. It's like, okay,
yeah.
At least with Alfred, the show on HBO Max.
Pennyworth.
Yeah, Pennyworth. At least with Pennyworth, they're not doing Batman stories. They're doing comic book stories, but they're not. Yeah. The Batman stories, because they're not in Gotham, they're in London.
Yeah. And you're liking that, right?
I haven't started the new season yet, but it was funny because I just pounded through the first 2 seasons, not even knowing there was a third season about to drop, and then the third season dropped. So I pretty much, since I got to pound through them like that, I'm kind of waiting until it's all there, and then I'll just watch it. Because I mean, I did watch 2 seasons. So I can take a break and then watch the 3rd season.
Gotcha.
So
cool.
Speaking of watching, did you watch the first season of True Detective?
Yeah.
Okay. I finally watched
the very first season with that one? Yes. Oh, wow.
Yes.
What'd you think?
Oh my God, that was awesome. Okay.
Right?
I know I'm late to that party, but holy crap, that was amazing.
I never watched season 2. And I heard there was a drop off.
I did too, so that's why I'm letting it cool before I watch it, because I've heard other things that some of these other seasons are good, they just weren't as good. So I'm letting that first season cool, because that was amazing.
It really was. But you know what? I do that because you're not a horror guy, but American Horror Story, the anthology series, I watched the first, I don't know how many seasons of that. I really enjoyed it, and then just stopped for some reason. And I'm sure they were good. It just, there's only so much time in the day.
I kind of want to watch those.
They're really well done.
Yeah, I mean, that's why. That's what I understand.
Acting,
is they're just really the acting and the whole horror aspect of it. I'm not as interested in, but everything I've heard about the way the stories are, the way it's acted, everything about it just sounds like some amazing TV.
And at least the first 2 or 3 seasons, maybe 3 to 4 seasons, keep on getting better, in my opinion. Yeah.
So now what I really
go ahead. No, that's on my list to go back to.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
What I really need to watch is Fargo.
Me too.
I understand that is just incredible. So
I know James listens to the podcast Delgado, and he's told me I don't know how many times Fargo is, and he likes what he watches, and he's discerning, and he's told me I don't know how many times watch Fargo.
All right.
And again, another thing, I bet there's so many, man. I never watched The Americans. I've heard that was good and well done. Anyways, there's a bunch of stuff out there.
Yes,
I'm just waiting for, but I'm just waiting for the new Doom Patrol season to come out, and probably the last season.
Ooh, you know what starts this week? Titans.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
I like Titans.
Okay.
I like
I do
Doom
too.
Patrol more. I like Doom Patrol more because they haven't had a down season, and Titans had a down season in season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
all right.
mean, not a bad season. I said it's a down season. I did not enjoy it as
Yeah.
much.
It happens.
Yeah.
Well, hey, anything else about Batman Zero Year?
I do not have anything else about it. I did like it. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
And I'm glad you liked it. I did enjoy it. Thank you for recommending it. And just, this whole episode I've been battling saying 0 year instead of year 0. It's just, for some reason, I
okay.
just want to say
Well, that's
year
because there's a
Year
very
one,
famous Batman Year 1.
Yeah,
very, very
I know.
famous. So, as we mentioned before, this is the penultimate episode of season 2. We are,
You got to say it again.
yes, we are going to, I feel that we're going to continue on with season 3. I hope Hav has agreed. I haven't asked him that yet. Hav, are you on board for season 3?
I am. I just thought that was a foregone conclusion, but okay, yeah.
I didn't want to fall into the trap of what I did last year was, I'm not done with you yet.
Yeah, that's true. No. I'm thinking sure.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen,
course.
great news. Hav and Charles Talk Comics has been renewed for another year.
Yeah. All right.
So, this is the time on the pod where we discuss what we're going to read for the next episode.
Yes.
Mr.
And we've already
Gonzalez.
discussed this
Yeah, we
offline.
did. Yeah, well,
But I've
kind of felt we had to because I was hoping on the outside that I might be able to get well enough that we could record it and I could have this actual episode up on the regular scheduled time, but there was no way. So in the middle of that, I was just like, we exchanged what we were going to read so we could start. But as far as I know, neither one of us has started reading them.
I was going to say, I don't have any kind of excuse. I didn't get COVID, and I should have been able to probably read both of the things that we. So I suggested, and for the next time, I suggest we read the first arc collection of Swamp Thing when Alan Moore makes his debut on an American comic book.
USA. USA. Oh.
Because exactly. Because when he did stuff in Britain, that didn't count.
Can they even read in Britain?
No, they don't even talk real English. So it's a big deal because I was thinking about other Alan Moore stuff. I was thinking about Tom Strong. I was thinking not Watchmen or anything like that. There was a couple other titles that I'm blanking on now.
I can't believe we haven't done
Extraordinary
Watchmen.
Gentlemen.
Ooh, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah, I mean, there's that.
That's good.
He all his America's best comics. He had a good run on Supreme. I don't know if you ever read that. His kind of the Superman analog from Image. So, but no, Swamp Thing. The first the collection of, like I said, Alan Moore's first. V for Vendetta. I mean, there's all sorts of things. From Hell.
Yeah, From Hell is good. Holy crap! Stop naming good comics that you're not picking.
Well, there's Alan Moore. I mean, I don't know that he's done too much that's bad. No. So yeah, Swamp Thing. And then you suggested.
I don't remember. No, I suggested that we read All-Star Superman.
By the great Grant Morrison. And that is the great Grant Morrison.
That is the great Grant Morrison.
And Frank Quietly too, right?
If you made me wild guess, which you're kind of doing, then yes, it's Frank Quietly.
I'm almost positive.
I know. Yeah, then he is great. And
so
I did not pick it to be the when I chose this, it was I wanted to do something that had Superman in it because we've only read one Superman comic. I mean, we've read some stuff with Superman in it, but we've only read one Superman comic, and it was whatever became of the Man of Tomorrow. So I wanted.
Was that it? Really? Is that the only thing we've done? Really? That is astounding.
Well, we've read some stuff that has it in that, but
sure.
And okay. So I chose this because I've read it and I liked it. No, we won't go into it. Have you read it?
Oh yeah, okay. It's been a while. But I've read it.
Yeah, it's been a while since I read it, but it's really worth reading. Superman's always worth reading. There's some good Superman stuff. I'm not an active daily, never was reader of Superman because I like more down to earth Superman stuff, and they want to do big because he's got so much power. But I like the niceness of the Boy Scout.
Yeah.
So I have to pick and choose my stuff.
Have you been watching Superman and Lois?
I have.
The new
Well,
the new show? Okay.
not season 3. I don't know if that's out yet, but I watched season 1 and 2.
Okay, I've only watched season 1. I need
Okay.
to catch up on season 2. But no, I
Season
like it. Speaking of down to earth Superman, but go ahead. Yeah.
season 2 is really good. It's on HBO Max.
Good. Okay.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, no, it is wonderful, down to earth Superman with kids. I need to get into some of the ones with Superman's son, because he's taken over as Superman, and I'm kind of intrigued to read that. I need to look into that. Hopefully it'll hit Hoopla or at least the library soon.
I bet you it will.
Yeah, no, I know it will. It's just a matter of when it does, because I would like to read that. And I read a little bit of Bendis's, because Bendis took over Superman.
That's right.
And I've read some of it.
I heard good things.
Yeah, well, he's a good writer, and it's an interesting for him to jump from Marvel. I mean, because he's been Marvel forever.
Yeah, but I think he signed like some huge deal, right, with DC.
Yes, he did.
To be exclusive. Yeah.
Yes. Well, they published. That's where I was reading the Powers, because they re-released his Jinx World stuff, his imprint, with these just mega volumes of the Powers stuff. But that was fun.
All right.
So,
well, hey, I'm looking forward to the next one, man.
Yes, I am too. For everybody that listened, thank you for holding on so long with us as we nerded out hardcore on our childhood favorite and adult favorite of Star Wars. And until our next episode, thank you for joining us. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.